There's a reason why for the last 13 years, startups overwhelmingly prefer to build on top of AWS. We have the largest number of services, making it easy for you to take on some of the biggest challenges with the smallest teams. We also have partnerships with the top VCs, accelerators, and incubators around the world, making it easier to secure your next round of funding.
I'm a solution architect with the AWS kickstart program. What we do is we work with startups in the education sector, and we help them build their services on AWS.
So We Power Tech is AWS's diversity and inclusion outreach program. The program is really twofold. One is to increase the number of underrepresented technologists within the industry, and the second is to provide a platform for them to be seen and heard.
If you're wondering how the AWS evangelism team might be able to help your startup, there are many ways. We're technically credible across our entire catalog of products, so we can help you figure out which services might be able to meaningfully impact your business. We also want to help tell your story. So if you're building something cool, we want to know about it and help spread that message to the world. So you might end up on stage at an event like AWS Summit. If you're a startup, you should also definitely check out the AWS Lofts. These are event spaces that are free to anyone with an AWS account. And you can treat them like co-working spaces, but the awesome thing about them is that we also have people like technical evangelists like myself, solutions architects that come and give hands-on technical workshops and sessions to help you learn how to more effectively utilize the AWS products and platforms that you're already building on top of.
We are a dedicated team of people that love startups, that we just want to come and help you with whatever we can, whether it be technical or business focused. We are here to help guide you and make sure that you do have a say in what's going on. We do get your feedback. We do bring that feedback to the service teams. That is what we're here for.
Thank you so much for listening to our amazing video. I'll start off by giving you a brief introduction of what Startup Grind is and what we're doing today. So Startup Grind is essentially the world's largest community of entrepreneurs actively operating in more than 600 cities. This month, we're hosting globally this mentorship month, where our events revolve a lot around learning from amazing entrepreneurs and change makers and community builders from not just inside Pakistan, but around the globe as well. This series in Pakistan is specifically supported by AWS, but a lot of amazing partners from inside and outside Pakistan as well. Again, Startup Grind is the largest startup community in the world, actively connecting entrepreneurs in more than 600 cities, more than 125 countries in the world. I have been running the Islamabad and Pakistan chapter for kind of the past 3 years, and over the past 3 years, we've hosted more than 100 business leaders, digital leaders from government, from entrepreneurs, from investors, from some of the top, successful Pakistanis, globally successful Pakistanis, from not just inside Pakistan, but also, outside Pakistan as well, and kind of brought together the tech and startup industry of Pakistan from around the globe. One of the highlights of our kind of 3 years in Pakistan was the Startup Grind Pakistan conference, which was the first ever Startup Grind conference in all of Asia. We hosted this in last November, and hopefully the next one will be in October in Islamabad. With this series, we have two amazing perks from our friends at AWS. So number one is that you can sign up for a one-on-one mentorship session. After the event, we'll send you the link on how to apply and connect with a lot of experts from fundraising, product marketing, sales, and strategy. Courtesy of AWS. If you're a startup or if you are starting up something, you can sign up and apply for AWS Cloud credits, which are up to $100,000. Courtesy of AWS. So we'll send you the forms for both of these after the session. With this, I'd like to introduce my dear friend and today's amazing speaker. So she is an entrepreneur, a community builder, a marketing guru, and an amazing public speaker. Belinda is basically the founder of Springboard Group, which is a creative marketing and consulting agency based out of Hong Kong. But she's also the founder of a newly founded company, Fem Founded, and the head of Asia Pacific and China for SaaStock, which is a very amazing conference and global community for software as a service, SaaS founders, executives, and investors. With this, I'll just hand it over to Belinda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everybody so much for joining. How we actually met is that 1.5 years ago when I traveled to Pakistan, to Lahore, We actually met there. So it's a really small world. I'm Belinda. I'm based out of Hong Kong. Love to travel. I travel a lot for my work, including Pakistan. And yeah, as you can see, I'm really traditional today, really on brand. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining. And also, before we jump right in, I just wanted to also let you know, if you have any questions, anything around personal marketing and everything, just type away in the chat and don't wait until the end, and we'll address it throughout. More about myself. I am originally from Austria, born and raised in Austria, in Europe, not Australia. Yes, born and raised in Austria, and I moved to Hong Kong 5 years ago. Before that, I lived in Australia, in the Philippines, Hong Kong now for the second time, and I also lived in Spain. So I lived all over the world, and really love living in in Asia, because it's such a thriving community, whether it's tech or generally in terms of startups. So my background is in marketing and consulting, and let's jump right into the slides and also tell you a bit more about myself. So quickly, let me share my screen. Bear with me. All right. So let's dive right in. All right. Cool. So, Belinda Esterhammer, I'm a community builder. So what does that mean is that I build communities around startups, and as Atrish mentioned, around SaaS, so software as a service, and generally also female empowerment. So my company is called Springboard Group, and I work together with corporates, with startups, with entrepreneurs on their branding, on their strategy, and on anything like digital that you can think of. Below is also, so you can see my email, my personal website, then also Fem Founded, which is gonna launch this month, which is a community for female entrepreneurs, female who still want to start a company but don't know where to start. And I also will do a lot of content around branding there. So even if you're not female, don't hesitate and sign up, because I'll be sharing also a lot of templates around there. And yeah, my company website, if you want to connect on Instagram, link is there, and same with LinkedIn. But yeah, let's jump right in. So what is personal branding? Personal branding basically is how people perceive and feel about you. And I know that sounds really fluffy, but personal branding is basically this combination of all the skills and experiences that make you you. So your brand is your image. Your brand is your mission. Your brand is your values, and your brand is your vision. So your brand is basically everything like that you live and breathe. So I always say that personal branding is what people are say when you leave the room. So that's basically branding. That's your marketing. So your reputation is everything. So 7 seconds, I don't know if you ever heard about that, but that's as much as it takes for somebody to make up an opinion about you. So it really matters to make a good first impression. And you are a brand, whether you like it or not, you are a brand. So that's why it's really important to really work on your brand. And because a brand is also your reputation, so it's really important. Yeah, as said, it's what people say when you're out of the room. So then, why personal branding? So personal branding is really important for you to plan, so you can track your personal growth, to develop yourself to be relevant and stay focused, and then to differentiate yourself and to really work on your competitive edge and stand out from the crowd, and also to launch and fulfill your career and personal goals. So I know, like, I threw a lot of buzzwords on you right now, but let's go into how to actually do this. Let me just check if there are any questions that we have so far. And as mentioned, yeah, feel free to ask away. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, somebody 7 seconds. Yeah, 7 seconds. That's as much as how much it takes for somebody to really make up their first impression. And it's really, really difficult once somebody made up their mind about you to change that. That's why we should get it right. So yeah, let's do this. So how to brand yourself is discovering your status quo. What does that mean? It's Google yourself. Go on Google, type in your names. Sometimes you really be surprised about the information you find, and maybe even some random posts that you didn't think were there. Same thing with like addresses, like anything. Don't be shy, Google yourself, and really be aware of everything that's out there about you. And also in terms of data, when we talk about data, it's also important to really see, like, are you sharing any, like medical data? Are you sharing any social security numbers? Really be aware of that. Same with phone numbers. While we talk about sharing and the data that you're sharing, it's really important to also mention that politics and religion, they don't belong on discussions around that. It's fine if you discuss it with your friends, but I think nowadays you have to realize that everything you put out there, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere, people can screenshot it. And also people can share it. Whether you like it or not, they can do it. So really be aware of what you're sharing, because you never know if it's gonna haunt you in the future. That goes without saying with politics and religion. And while obviously everybody's free to have their own opinion, you don't know your maybe future employer, maybe somebody that you want to do business with. So one thing that you always have to be aware is bias of people. For example, even if you are thinking you're completely right when it comes to politics or whatever religion you believe in, but always be aware that the person that you're dealing with and the person that you might want something from maybe doesn't share the same beliefs. So it's always better to keep these beliefs offline, or really like with your friends, but really be aware that nothing goes into public. Then strategy. So once you're aware of your status quo and you know the information that's out there, so basically you've done your own audit and you know how much of a good standing you have on social media, or also what you can work on. Now it's time to really work on the strategy. And I'm also aware that this is today a really workshop in a nutshell that we're doing. And if you want any more information, anything, don't also hesitate to get in touch with me afterwards. But yeah, this is just like a mini workshop basically. So yeah, strategy. So you have your status quo, and now we're going to work on your strategy. So how we're going to do that is you're going to find your why. And really oldie but goldie is always Simon Sinek. And I'm not going to play this video right now. I'm just afraid that we have any technical issues. But afterwards, I'm going to share these slides also with you, and also the link to the YouTube video at the time mark. This is basically where Simon Sinek, in case you don't know, he also published a book called Start With Why, which is basically recommended for any startup founder, hustler, or basically future entrepreneur, somebody that's really serious about business. Read this book, it's amazing. So yeah, in this book, he really tells how to find your why. So not just your what and how, but your why. And it makes more sense when you watch this video, or if you watched it, but I'll make sure to share it. So yeah, find your why. When it comes to strategy, why do you want to? Oh, perfect. Somebody shared it. Thank you. So yeah, why are you working on your strategy? Ask yourself, what's the goal with your strategy, and also what's the why behind the goal. So again, where are you today? So in terms of strategy, and you have your why now. So look around and really see, and back again to that audit that you did in the beginning. Really see and be aware of where you today. So for example, how many LinkedIn connections do you have? How many, Twitter, Twitter followers do you have? Do you have a website? Things like that. Just like list these things up and really, have a fresh start with your status quo. So how do you want people to view you professionally? I think that's a really important question too, that you have to ask yourself when it's all about finding your why. And this is really important because your whole strategy ties into how you want people to perceive you professionally. For example, an example with me could be, I want to be, the voice of personal branding, or that go-to person that you go when it's around empowering females, startups. For example, this could be my why. So really make up your mind around how you want people to view you professionally. Another example, for example, it could also be that you want them to view you as the thought leader when it comes to fintech. This is like a perfect example. But you really need to know what you want out of this, because else you're just gonna not get any great results. So action plan. So now you have the status quo. Now you have basically you found your why, and also you want to know how people want to perceive you professionally. Now it's all about getting into the action. So what we're going to do now is create. So how that's going to work is you have a look at social media. And I know these are just, 4 channels out of so many. We have TikTok nowadays. We have Snapchat. We have, in different countries, they have, they have WeChat, they have Kakao, they have Line. There's just so many different channels that you can use. And I'm not telling you to use all of them. I'm telling you to be really selective. So this again ties back into the why we had in the beginning, and also how you want people to view you professionally, and basically what's your goal behind your personal branding. So again, for example, if you have an e-commerce shop and you want people to, you want to raise more awareness about your shop, you want to brand yourself as the CEO of this company, and get the word out there. For example, then Instagram would be one of the channels that you really focus on, because people can buy stuff of Instagram nowadays, and it's all about e-commerce nowadays. But for example, if you want to develop yourself as a thought leader, say fintech, and say it's gonna be, your goal is to be a global thought leader, or your target is US or UK, then for example, we're looking into LinkedIn and Twitter. So it really depends on your goals. And I always say that it's, unless you have a social media team, because then perfect, and then you're golden. But if you're just, starting out with your personal branding, or even just, doing it yourself, don't go into all of these channels, and really be aware of which channels are important. I see we have a question, and we're going to go into that in a second. One thing I want to say though is that LinkedIn, everybody should be on LinkedIn. Regardless what your target is or what your goal is, you should have a complete LinkedIn profile. And just because everybody's just going on. LinkedIn is the Facebook of the workforce. So everybody's just going onto LinkedIn if you, for example, do business with them, or if they just want to learn more about your professional background. So you cannot avoid being on LinkedIn, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even all the other channels like Pinterest, whatever, that's really depending on your strategy. For example, I don't really use Twitter because I'm based in Hong Kong. Most of my business happens in APAC, although Twitter is used in Australia. But other than that, nobody really uses Twitter here. So, and also it would be just so much work on top of working on my LinkedIn and working on my Instagram. So I'm really, for example, focusing on Instagram and LinkedIn. And Twitter is a bit of, a stepchild that I'm neglecting a bit, but I'm aware of that. Facebook, for example, is amazing if you want to build communities on, or just start out with if you just want to start out with a community, it's for free, and to even start, a community group and just to grow them. So as said, it just really depends. This is a tip on, this is one of my tips, own your domain name. So for example, this is my personal website. It's just my full name.com. I know it's a long one, but so stay with me. Don't jump on my page now. I'll share the link with you also afterwards. But I think one really important thing that I could just give to all of you, even if you don't want to build a personal website right now, buy your domain name, and you can do it super cheap on GoDaddy. I'll also share my tips afterwards in the email. GoDaddy.com, you can buy it for like $5, less than that, for a whole year, and it's just cheap, and you can own it, and then you can always connect it with a website builder. So it's super important to own your domain name. And I think one reason why you should also own it is that you don't want somebody to buy your domain name, and then just do something else. Like imagine that they sell something that you really against, or so there's been a lot of cases around that. So just buy it and connect it with your website. Or even if you buy a website, say Squarespace or Wix or WordPress, often you just can get a domain for free. So you can combine that. Then another tip is your email name matters. Personal branding 101. Who here has a hotmail.com email? I hope nobody. Wink, wink. No. So it's definitely important in terms of your email name matters, basically. Keep it simple. Have your own name at, say, gmail.com. Gmail is just the safest choice to go with. And don't be, funny kitten face 501 at gmail.com, or sporty soccer guy or whatever. Really check your emails and make sure that they're not they don't sound too complicated. You can always shorten them if you have a long name. And just keep it simple and avoid any numbers. But it really matters, and it's also something that recruiters or business partners or generally people really judge you on. Also, another tip, your LinkedIn name also matters. While a lot of people don't, probably have never heard about it, but did you know that you can actually change your LinkedIn URL? So for example, I just changed mine to my last name, which is Esterhammer. And so if people want to find me on LinkedIn, that's as easy as it can get. So how you can change it, I'll also, you can just Google how to change your LinkedIn name. But if you don't change it, LinkedIn usually has your first name, then your last name, and then a lot of numbers and everything. So you actually, one thing that I always put emphasis on if somebody tells me that in marketing is I go on the LinkedIn profile, and if I see that on top their LinkedIn name is not shortened or anything. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So I just use that, for example, as a benchmark on how social media savvy somebody is. But another way to super easily brand yourself, and again, this is my LinkedIn profile, and it's just on top. But yeah, as said, you can also on LinkedIn. I know it's a bit of controversy in terms of like, should you put a lot of different things you do on top of your LinkedIn profile? And I know there's some people eye-rolling about that. But on the other hand, if people, for example, put into LinkedIn search community builder, and I am, for example, in the second network and they're looking for a community builder in Hong Kong, chances are really high that I will pop up there, because whatever I put up in here, it's actually, if you search for something on LinkedIn, that's gonna pop up. So, while it's cool if you put, for example, account manager at XYZ, like at any company, it's also maybe more effective in case you do a lot of different things, or in case you're really involved in community building, or you want to brand yourself as a thought leader, and put it on top there. And, this could be something like, say again, if you want to be a fintech thought leader, you could put fintech on there. If you sit on a board, you could put that on there. If you're founder, it's really up to you. Just again, really think about how you want people to perceive you professionally, and that should basically go up on here. Then engage. So, okay, you have your whole internet presence scheduled out. You have this strategy behind it. And now it's all about engaging. So how do we engage? Content, using the right channels. So that just ties back into when I told you to really look into all your social media channels and all the channels you should be on, but also be aware that you don't have to be on all of them. I think that's the most important thing, because else you're just gonna be overwhelmed. And after a week, if you can be consistent, like if you even can last a week, you're just gonna start getting inconsistent, because it's just gonna overwhelm you. So yeah, when it comes to growing your social media, it's just starting small, but just the most important thing is just being consistent and really putting things out on the right channels. Again, if you want to be a thought leader on fintech, use Twitter, but for example, Instagram might not be your right channel, because it's all about images. Whereas if you want to be an e-commerce guru, if you are a photographer and you want to share your work, or for example, if you are a designer, graphic designer, and you want to share, then Instagram, so it really depends. But yeah, really be aware of the right channels. And connect. So create your online community and connect. So you chose your own channels, and so then it's all about creating your online community and how to connect. So as mentioned before, it's super easy to start building a community. I didn't say it's easy to actually grow a community. So, you could do something as, if you want to really build a community or start out building a community, easiest thing is just find your niche and create a community around that on Facebook. Also, be aware of what's already out there, because chances are super high that there's already similar communities out there. But don't be intimidated by that, or don't make that stop you. Just do your benchmarking, do your research, see what's shared on these channels, and then see what engagement they have. Then start your own, but don't copy them. take them as inspiration. And I don't say you can also share some of the posts that they share. For example, if it's like news articles, or if you can see anything great that's inspiring to you, you can share that, but don't duplicate that community, but rather engage and maybe even befriend, that person that leads this community, and just have a chat around with them. So yeah, starting a community, not that hard. What you can also do, for example, is starting a newsletter, for example, a monthly newsletter, if you don't want to be too overwhelmed. But whatever you do, be consistent. So if you start a newsletter, don't just send out one newsletter and then don't ever do it again, or but be consistent. It could even be a quarterly newsletter. Just, for example, it could be your edit on anything. But yeah, whatever you do, be consistent. And connect with your community. Yeah, with the connect part, I am referring to, as I just mentioned, connect with the people that already, lead communities, connect with other community builders. You're not in a competition with other community builders when it comes to building communities. It's all about give first. So people, they're more than happy to give, and there's enough space for everyone there. So yeah, don't be shy. And conversation. Social media is a conversation. And I know it's hard, and that ties back into the content part. I know it's easy to just, create some piece of content, put it out there, and then just let it go and move on with your life. But that's unfortunately not how it works if you want to really successfully grow your network. And for that, you really have to see social media not as a one-way street, but actually as, a two-way street. And it's really giving and receiving. So in terms of conversation, I have some tips for you, because it's all about quality, not quantity. So this is a great rule, which is the 4-1-1 rule. So for every 6 posts that you do on social media, there should be 4 original posts, 1 retweet or repost, and 1 self-serving to your own content. So say you post 6 posts on LinkedIn. 4 of them should be original. By original, I mean either it's an article that you're writing, either it's just a post on you sharing something, or announcing that you speak somewhere, or just an original post by you. And please don't share any of these quotes or any YouTube videos of dogs doing fun things or anything out there. I've been seeing these way too often on LinkedIn, and that's not what LinkedIn is for. Also, please don't share any of these quizzes, 5 + 5 divided by 10 times 500,000. How much is that? Can you get it right? This doesn't belong on LinkedIn, and it's really annoying. I started muting or unfollowing people within my network who do this, because it just doesn't belong on LinkedIn. And so 4 original posts, 1 retweet or repost. Retweeting for Twitter, reposting, for example, on LinkedIn. You can also repost on Instagram. There's a really cool app also called Repost, where then you can see a little tiny image popping up on your Instagram. I'm also going to share that afterwards. But then also you can link it back to the profile you're sharing from, and then also hopefully get some of the traffic from that profile onto yours if they are liking your post. So then also 1 self-serving to your own content. So whatever your goal or your big why is, this one is basically your wild card. So that's the 4-1-1 rule, and there's also the 10-minute rule, and that means that 10 minutes every day, Monday to Friday, or 5 days a week. Generally, you should be connecting, establishing credibility, and being up to date on industry trends. So only 10 minutes a day. You should, you could do more, but I think 10 minutes a day is really realistic for us all. You should be focusing on connecting, whether it's on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social channels are, or by email. And while we speak about connecting, please don't just send random requests to people or industry leaders that you think have a great profile on LinkedIn. If you connect with people, say on LinkedIn, send them a personalized message. For example, myself, I barely, like 95%, I don't accept any connection requests if the person doesn't add a personalized message there if I don't know them, because it takes 10 seconds, and also it really shows that person why you want to connect, because I'm also really aware and also annoyed at all these, like, once you connect with somebody they immediately want to sell you something. So that's why I'd rather just not accept it. So yeah, if you connect with somebody, I think the easiest tip that I can give you is look at the profile and really have your why on why you want to connect with them. Say you work in marketing and this person is also working in marketing, and you can see one or two mutual interests, or for example you both work in digital, then just write them like, hey, my name is Belinda. I really want to connect with you, and we both work in marketing. And so basically that's it. Don't say I want to have a chat with you, because that's just weird unless you really have an agenda behind that. But yeah, 10 minutes every day, establishing credibility. Work on your profile. Just because you signed up, for example, on LinkedIn or Twitter, and you set up a profile, doesn't mean you should just, never update it. Be on top of it, and, maybe update it once per month as a goal on really keeping everything up to date. And keep up to date with industry trends. And I don't mean just, looking through like BuzzFeed or your Facebook feed, but I mean really relevant industry trends. So whatever's relevant to you. Say, you work in tech, really be up to date, follow all the tech magazines like TechCrunch and, say all the really relevant ones, and really make it a habit on checking them, once a day or once every other day to really be up to date. So, takeaways before we go into more questions. So, your online profile is basically whatever's out there is professional and private mixed together. So if it's online and it's public, everybody can access it. So basically private means professional, and nowadays you have to put your professional hat on even if you post private things. And again, as mentioned before, religion, politics, really be aware of what you're sharing, because you never know if it's going to haunt you in the future. Research and develop a strategy for your professional profile. So do your research and be aware where you are, be aware where you want to go. And I think another great tip for that is look into people who are already at the stage that you want to be. So these thought leaders, whether they are on LinkedIn, whether they, they have their own website, whether they are, like Gary Vee, but really look out for them. Have a list of who you're looking out for, who you're looking up to, and also who's doing a great job that's basically one step ahead of you. So, Gary Vee is maybe here, so look for, and you are here, so maybe look for somebody, mid-level, and see what they're doing great. They market themselves great, and how's the LinkedIn profile? What groups are they following? What groups are they engaged with? So really don't reinvent the wheel. It's been done before. So just do your research and make sure, and then even connect with these people. Yeah, it's all about developing a strategy. And build your professional profiles on the chosen social media networks. As mentioned before, you don't have to go everywhere. And I think one important thing also to mention is that if you really want to go and build a Facebook community, create maybe a public Facebook profile also that people can like and where you start engaging, or really clean up your private Facebook profile because you will get a lot of requests. So yeah, again, private is professional and it's all mixed nowadays. And yeah, connect, publish, and share and engage with your target audience, whether that's on, on any social media channel, basically. So go ahead with the questions now, and I'll address them in a second. And I think, on top of everything that we just discussed, most important thing is that you develop a routine. And with that, you should be as realistic as possible. So if you already know you're going to be overwhelmed by creating a newsletter and you know that you're not going to send it out after you did it once, then just don't do it, but look into other ways. And same with if you know that, for example, you can write one article per month, but you can't do it per week, then just make a monthly article your goal. But imagine if you're going to write, one article per month, that's going to be 12 articles in a year, and that's going to add up. And just also, again, adds on to your credibility. So we're going to go into questions now. And I see that, how to choose a name for your brand is one of the first questions. And please just, type along with more questions. We're going to address them in a second. How to choose a name for your brand? That's a really good question and really depends on what you do and what your why is. If it's for your personal brand, as we're doing today, have your own name. But for example, if you're well known for something, for example, in China, for example, there's a lot of KOLs, so key opinion leaders, that just, or like generally, I see it across Asia, that brand themselves as your China guy, and for example, your LinkedIn guru. So if you want to be really known for something, that could be basically your brand. For example, it could be your marketing guru, your marketing, anything. But if that was the question, generally speaking, use your name unless you really want to be known to be a specialist in something. If you mean a company name, this needs to be a completely longer and different workshop, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. Then if you have, so one of the questions is, I have to pitch a prospect B2B on LinkedIn. Is it advisable to connect with them on other channels as well, such as Instagram and Facebook, or building an interaction on LinkedIn is enough? That's a really good question. So if you are pitching somebody, or if you want to, not like selling, but you want to, show and demonstrate people your capabilities, or you want to interview somewhere, it is advisable to connect with them on public channels. Say, look them up. So apart from LinkedIn, look them up on Twitter, look them up on Instagram. With Instagram, it could already start to get tricky. I had this, I saw this in the past when a lot of, definitely follow the, say you're pitching to a VC, just to make things simpler. So say you're pitching to a VC, and this VC has obviously the official Instagram. Connect with, like and follow and really have a look at what this VC does and how the culture is at this VC. So then if you look into this individual working at this VC, you're looking into another layer. So you can look for the name, and if they have a private profile, don't connect with them, because there's a reason why it's private, because they just maybe want to keep it for friends and family. If it's an official profile, there's again 2 options. If you only see them posting more like private things, like pictures with their family, pictures with the dogs, but nothing professional, and say they don't even mention where they work, don't connect with them on, connect with them on on Instagram either, because they want to keep that basically as more like a private thing, and you don't want to seem like as a stalker. But if they have an Instagram profile and they have a lot of professional stuff up there, definitely connect with them. That also shows you've done your research. So if you're pitching, definitely don't, on Facebook again, I would not advise to connect with somebody on Facebook unless they send you a request, because Facebook is still so much more private, and basically you're adding somebody as a friend on Facebook. So really be aware of this, and you don't want to add somebody as a friend that you want to pitch to yet. So I'd say Instagram, I said LinkedIn, and also what you should do is you should look them up across all social media channels, just to also see if you have some things in common. Say if you go on Facebook and their profile is them surfing, or them with the dog, or them hiking, so you already know some of their hobbies. So if you are looking for some conversation starter, that could be it, and you don't have to sound creepy. You're just like, I've just been hiking, or do you like dogs, something like that. But knowledge is power. So let's go into another question. While working on an idea, how to find a mentor, how to approach them? This is a great question, but I think this could also be this needs to be a different topic or workshop. But if you're working on a company or startup and you want to find a mentor, how to approach them, I think easiest is if you join an accelerator incubator. There's a lot of small ones like Grassroots, where it's not like Y Combinator or Techstars Accelerator, where you have to go through like a long application process. But there's a lot of grassroots incubators, and so that could be an option. Or as mentioned before, do your research on LinkedIn. Say you have your product is you're working on an e-commerce shop selling something specific, say shoes. You look online and see if there are any other people who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. Again, not the Gary V's, but the people that are in between, that are successful and are several steps ahead of you, but not too many. And how you approach them, I think the easiest way to find a mentor is face-to-face. Like, go to a lot of events. I know right now it's maybe not a good time, but webinars. Look for webinar speakers around your topic. And if there's so many webinars happening all over the world at the moment. Really look for, who's speaking. And if you want to connect, LinkedIn, again, send them a LinkedIn request, but don't overwhelm them with like, want to be my mentor. Really tell them that, for example, say her name is Tammy. Hi, Tammy. I am really, really, I'm really thrilled to see the amazing things you're doing within your industry, and it's been so great, to see that really go into like a bit more detail that you've done research, and then also be like, would you mind I'm just starting out with my company, and would you mind jumping on a 15-minute call with me? It would be amazing to have your thoughts, have your ideas there, and also offer them something that you've done research. For example, one thing, if somebody wants to show me an idea and they're like, do you have time for a call? Do you have time for a coffee? One of the first things I tell them is, here's a business plan. I send them a template. I'm like, fill it out as much as you can, or send me the business plan you already have, and then I'm happy to jump on a quick coffee with you. But if it's just an idea and you haven't done any homework on validating this idea or even like research, then I really don't want to waste eater of our time because you're not that serious about it. So I think, if you're looking for somebody, really show them that you're serious about it. Okay, next question. I run a company and I communicate with my clients through my business email. But since I wanted to establish myself as a brand, I think I should start using my other email. But that confuses me. Same issue. So I had an email also with my personal email .com, but I gave that up 1.5 years ago because it's just too much. It's overwhelmed. I'm still, one thing, okay, you have a hello@yourcompany.com and then your own name. So for example, with me, I use, my first name at my company, just to communicate with everybody. And while I have, like hi or hello at my company, I use it for general emails. So for example, if I would send out something generic, but I think it's great, just use your first name at your company. I think, you should just do that because that's not confusing. The one thing that gets confusing is if you have your own domain and your question is, oh, should I also use that email? Because then it's like, no, really like use one email, but also have an email for all the spam and newsletters that you sign up. So I just have a burner email on Gmail that I just use for random things like that. So another question, if you wanted to be an industry thought leader and posted something specific in your field, wouldn't it irritate some people not in your industry on LinkedIn? That's a good one. So no, it's not, because that's the great thing about LinkedIn. It's just, basically, a whole like cloud with everybody's different opinions professional wise. So I have a lot of LinkedIn connections, but I'm really careful on who I connect with. And I don't just connect with, people in my marketing industry or, people within my network, but also, people I meet, for example, on events. And these people could also be, in different industries. But it doesn't irritate people not in your industry on LinkedIn, because I think the only irritating thing for people on LinkedIn is if you post content that should not belong on LinkedIn. For example, cute YouTube videos, or anything that's basically not professional, or, like all these quizzes and stuff. So post, if it's professional, it will not irritate people. It's only going to irritate people if it belongs on Facebook. Okay, next question. What are we supposed to be when you have to run a business professionally and communicate with people under your business name, but on the same time market yourself so they know you by name all the time? Wait, I'm going to stop sharing and go back to the videos. Just so you can also see myself. So the question was, what are we supposed to be when you have to run a business professionally and communicate with people under your business name, but on the same time market yourself so they know you by name all the time? That's a really great question. And it's just, I'm laughing because, the thing is, you're asking, what are we supposed to be? So you, as the CEO of your company, you represent the company. And I think one thing also you learn, maybe before, but as soon as you start a company, you learn that people want to work with you, or people hire you and your services or buy from you because of you, mainly. Not just because of, whatever product you're offering, but people buy from you because they buy into you and your mission and vision. So I think the easiest thing is, if you have issues defining the you, write down again your why and your personal mission and vision and the mission vision of the company. And then depending on if you communicate with people, as the CEO of the company or as an individual, it should be somewhat aligned, because your personal goal should also be, to accelerate the growth of your business. And so And I think in terms of names, it's not that clear in that question, but I think, yeah, it's important to know, for people to know your first name. So I think, again, back to the emails question that you were asking, it should be your first name at yourcompany.com, because people want a personal touch behind it. If it's just hello, it could be a computer bot. It could be somebody, without a name, or, somebody in a call center answering them. So I think it's really important to give people a face who they're working with. And another question, how do you check the relevancy influence of people's profile when you don't know them? And hi from Tel Aviv. Hi there. Thank you for joining us today, Yossi. So relevance and influence of people's profiles. Really good question. And I think the easiest way to check it is actually on LinkedIn out of all the social media profiles. Because on LinkedIn, you could see how many people most of the time you can see if they have more than 500 connections, because then it says 500 plus. And I think that's a good indicator for you that they are active, because it should be, if you are in the workforce for several years, and especially nowadays, it should not be an issue to have more than 500 connections. And I think the second thing is that you check if you have second connections and who they are. So if somebody wants to connect with me and they don't add a message, I check if we have mutual connections. It usually already shows, like, for example, I have 80 mutual connections, and then I look into them. If it's a lot of these connections that I don't know personally, but those are also people I, engaged with because they are industry leaders, I might think that this person, is just adding everybody just to grow their network. But they're then they could not be bothered to write me even personalized email message on LinkedIn. So then it's maybe like, no. But if you can see that people you really admire and you might know even personally are also connections with those people, I think that's also a good indicator. And also check if the profile is active on LinkedIn. So you go on a profile and you just see, about their latest posts, are they just liking things, or if they engage, what's actually their engagement? Are they following any of the rules that we discussed today? So I think that's also a really good indicator. For example, if they don't have any engagement, you probably want to think twice if you want to, connect with them. But if they have a good engagement, if, they have a bigger following, and if their profile looks good, sure, why not? And yeah, LinkedIn is easy, but then if you go on Instagram, that's a totally different field. And same with Facebook, because on these networks, you can super easily buy followers. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but I think you are, that you can buy Instagram followers, you can buy Facebook group followers, and you can also buy engagement. So I think on Instagram, if you are not sure if this person is as influential or as serious as they think as they pretend they are, check how many followers do they have, and then also check how much engagement and likes they have. So say they have 20,000 followers on Instagram, and say they follow, a healthy like 2,000, 3,000 with that number, and then see how many posts they have. Say if they only get 100 likes on one post, and with, like 20,000 followers, then it's easy to tell that they just bought these followers. But also I think a good indicator is if they just posted a post, and within the first 10 minutes or within the first hour, they get 600 followers. And then, and then after like 24 hours, they might have 800. That probably 200 followers are for real and the rest is bought. So I think that's also something you should be aware of. And please don't buy followers on Instagram or wherever anymore, because there's also software where you can check it for free and see the spikes in your profiles. So don't buy it, please. It's on the long run, it's not going to be good for your profile. All right. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, somebody asked, what if somebody bought it in little stage? In little stage, that meant somebody bought it 5 or 10 years ago. And I experimented with it on a lifestyle profile 7 years ago. So it's been out there for a long time. And I would not advise to buy it nowadays anymore, because if you bought it like way before and you're successful, but then you're probably also not here today in this session because you know what to do. And so just again, if you wanna connect with me, add me on LinkedIn, and I'll make sure that an email is gonna go out with you with the slides that we shared today, and also with some extra information. And if you connect with me on LinkedIn, please add some kind of message. It could even just be that you were on the webinar today, just so I know where to place you. And follow me on Instagram. Let's connect on Instagram, and you can follow my journey. And I'm going to be doing much more webinars in the next few months, because we're all, in this together, and there's been a huge interest in personal branding. So if you have any further questions or any thoughts or any requests, shoot them along, and I'll be happy to address them. All right, then. If there are no further questions, right back at you. Tish, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So if there are no further, I think a lot of people are loving your session. There's like countless messages saying that it's like the most amazing session. And it was, I personally learned a lot of new things. Thank you so much for taking out the time. I think if there are no further questions, we can just end this meeting right on time, and people can connect with you. We'll also email them the slide once you share it with us.
Yeah, sure. Feel free to connect. Feel free to drop us any more webinar requests. I'm happy to do a follow-up question. If you have any, just shout it along, and I'll be happy to connect again.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for joining today, everybody.
Thank you. I guess I'll just end this now.
All right. Bye.
Bye.